Now, I don't have a tie on today because, in my rush to comply with the ruling that we all had to be off campus on Monday afternoon, I left without bringing a lot of my ties along. However, I oftentimes use the ties as an example. So, for many of you, you may not have purchased or looked at ties very much, but if you go to Men's Warehouse or if you look at even Walmart, ties sell probably between $10 and $30. Of course, you can go upwards of that. Now, if you go to Goodwill, you can get them cheaper. But pretty much all of my ties and most of at least the suits I used to fit into that I got when I was teaching in Iraq, they were cheap. They didn't cost me very much. Ties were a buck. You could get a suit for $30. You could get dress shirts for $5. Now, the question I always ask is, which I can't really pose to you here, is why, as some of you approach graduation or job interviews, etc., and you need to dress professionally, how many of you are going to fly to Iraq and buy your ties for $1 there? Probably not many. Again, the gains from trade with people in Iraq are going to be higher than they are with people locally. Why? Because people in Iraq had greater differences in endowments, greater differences in their preferences, probably greater differences in their abilities, definitely some different learning, probably not a lot of difference in saving on switching time. But the gains to be had from trading with people in Iraq are almost certainly going to be a lot higher than the gains to be had from trading with people at Men's Warehouse. So why are most of us going to go to Men's Warehouse? Well, again, the issue there is there's something on the cost side. So what are the costs of trade? Here's the benefits of trade. What are the costs of trade? They're certainly not zero. Now, oftentimes what people think of as a major cost of trade is the cost of transporting goods. Now, I need to verify this and double check, but the last I heard, if you needed a storage space, so many people rent storage spaces once they've acquired too many goods and they don't know what to do with them and they don't want to make decisions about them, or if they move to a smaller space, there's a whole lot of reasons. But there are storage facilities and you can rent them. And we don't think, right, maybe they're $20 a month, maybe they're even $50 a month. That sounds relatively reasonable. It turns out in many jurisdictions, rather than renting a storage locker, it would actually be cheaper to rent a shipping container and send your stuff around the world for a year. It would be cheaper. Now, that's not the same thing because you wouldn't have access to the goods while they were in transit, but turns out the point I'm trying to make is that the cost of transportation in terms of international trade and trade generally is actually very, very small. The logistics that we have developed over the last number of years are pretty good in terms of, sorry, I have a cat here. Cat, stop.